It is 3:17 in the morning. Your eyes are open. The ceiling is dark. Your mind is racing through something you said 6 years ago. You have been lying here for over an hour. Your body is exhausted, but your brain refuses to shut down. You check the time again. Now you are angry at yourself. You have been told your whole life that healthy sleep means 8 uninterrupted hours. You have tried everything: blackout curtains, white noise machines, magnesium supplements, blue light filters. None of it works consistently. And every morning you wake up feeling like you've failed at something basic. Something every other human on Earth seems to manage effortlessly. But what if the problem is not your discipline? What if you're not broken? What if the 8-hour sleep rule is one of the biggest misunderstandings in human history? Because the real answer is far stranger. The way you sleep, the way you wake up in the middle of the night, may not be a disorder at all. It may be the exact sleep pattern your ancestors evolved to survive. In 2001, a historian named Roger Ekirch was digging through old court records in London when he stumbled onto something that made no sense. Again and again, he found references to a thing called first sleep and second sleep. These were not obscure terms. They appeared in diaries, medical texts, legal documents, and personal letters spanning centuries. People wrote about their first sleep and second sleep as casually as you would write about breakfast. Ekirch was confused. No one in the modern world talked about sleeping in 2 shifts. He started digging deeper. What he uncovered would challenge everything we think we know about what happens after we close our eyes. The question is not whether you should sleep 8 hours straight. The question is why you ever thought you were supposed to. Before electric light, before alarm clocks, before the Industrial Revolution told human beings when to start and stop everything, including their own unconsciousness, people slept differently. They would go to bed shortly after dark. They would sleep for about 4 hours. And then, somewhere around midnight, they would wake up. Not briefly, not accidentally. They would wake up fully and stay awake for 1 to 2 hours. This was the waking period between first sleep and second sleep, and it was completely normal. Ekirch's research, published in his book At Day's Close, documented over 500 references to segmented sleep across European and pre-industrial cultures. People called this midnight waking period the watch. And here is what makes your 3 a.m. ceiling staring suddenly make sense. During the watch, people did not lie in bed panicking about being awake. They got up. They talked. They prayed. They visited neighbors. They made love. They wrote. They reflected. Medical texts from the 1500s actually recommended the watch as the best time for conception. The body was rested from first sleep. The mind was calm. The house was quiet. This was not insomnia. This was design. But Ekirch was just the beginning. In the 1990s, a psychiatrist named Thomas at the National Institutes of Health designed an experiment that would accidentally confirm what the historians had found. We want to know what happens when you strip away artificial light entirely. He recruited a group of volunteers and had them live in total darkness for 14 hours a night. No phones, no lamps, no screens, just darkness. For the first few weeks, the volunteers slept for long stretches, paying off what researchers call a modern sleep debt. But then something strange started happening. Their sleep began to split. After about 4 weeks, every single volunteer had shifted into the same pattern. They would fall asleep, sleep deeply for about 4 hours, wake up for 1 to 2 hours, then fall into a second sleep until morning. But the most interesting part was not the sleep itself. It was what happened during the waking gap. Whereas volunteers did not feel anxious during the midnight waking period. They did not toss and turn. They reported feeling something almost unheard of in the modern world. A state of calm, quiet alertness. Not the wired alertness of caffeine. Not the groggy fog of sleep inertia. A distinct third state. The researchers measured their hormone levels during the waking gap. They found prolactin levels surged, the same hormone associated with deep relaxation, meditation, and a feeling of peaceful contentment. The body was not stressed about being awake. The body was doing exactly what it had evolved to do. This raised a question that would have sounded absurd to any sleep researcher a generation earlier. What if the real sleep disorder is not waking up at night? What if the real sleep disorder is the 8-hour consolidated block we have been told is normal? To understand why your body might be wired for segmented sleep, you have to go back much further than medieval Europe. You have to go back to the African savanna roughly 200,000 years ago. Your ancestors did not sleep behind locked doors. They slept on the ground, in the open, surrounded by predators that hunted in the dark. A deep, unbroken 8-hour sleep would have been a death sentence. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups, the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of the Kalahari, the Tsimane of Bolivia, have documented something remarkable. These groups do not sleep in consolidated blocks either. In a 2015 study published in Current Biology, researchers tracked the sleep patterns of 3 hunter-gatherer groups across different continents. What they found was consistent. No group slept straight through the night. The average sleep duration across all 3 groups was about 6.5 hours per night. But the key finding was not how long they slept. It was how they slept. Fragmented, segmented, with natural waking periods. And they had almost 0 rates of chronic insomnia. One elderly San woman told the researchers something that stopped them cold. When asked about sleep problems, she looked confused. She said she had never heard of anyone having trouble sleeping. It was not a concept she recognized. Think about that for a moment. A condition that affects an estimated 30% of modern adults. A condition you have almost certainly experienced is so rare in these communities that the concept itself requires translation. But there is another layer to this story, a chemical layer. And once you understand it, you will never see your midnight waking the same way again. Your brain produces a hormone called melatonin when darkness falls. It signals to your body that night has arrived. But melatonin is not a sleep hormone in the way most people think. It does not knock you out. It opens the door. It creates the conditions for sleep to occur. In a world without artificial light, darkness lasts much longer than 8 hours. In winter, in many latitudes, darkness can stretch for 12 or 14 hours. Your melatonin system evolved for that world. The 8-hour sleep rule did not come from biology. It came from the factory whistle. When the Industrial Revolution forced workers into fixed shifts, segmented sleep was redefined as a problem. It was inefficient. It did not serve the machine. By the early 20th century, medical textbooks had stopped mentioning first and second sleep entirely. A biological pattern that had existed for the entire history of our species was erased from cultural memory in less than 100 years. So here is the twist you did not see coming. Your 3 a.m. waking is not a malfunction. It is a memory. Your body is remembering a world where that midnight hour was not an inconvenience. It was a gift. The anxiety you feel when you wake up at night, the frustration, the clock checking, the self-criticism, that is not a symptom of broken biology. That is a symptom of a culture that told you your biology is broken. You're not failing at sleep. You are succeeding at a sleep pattern your body remembers across 200,000 years of evolution. You are just failing at a sleep pattern that was invented during the steam engine era. That midnight waking period, the one you spend fighting yourself, was once considered sacred. It was the moment when monks rose for prayer, when poets wrote their best lines, when mothers nursed their infants in a quiet house, when lovers reached for each other in the dark. The watch was not a glitch. It was a feature, and your body still runs that old operating system, even if the culture around you has forgotten it ever existed. Russell Foster, a neuroscientist at Oxford who studies circadian rhythms, has argued that the modern anxiety around sleep may be causing more harm than the sleep disruption itself. You wake up. You panic about being awake. The panic releases cortisol. The cortisol keeps you awake. You have created insomnia out of a normal biological event. The enemy is not the waking. The enemy is the story you tell yourself about the waking. Now look at your life. Look at what you do when you wake up at 3 a.m. You reach for your phone. The blue light hits your retinas. The screen tells your brain that dawn has arrived. Whatever fragile melatonin state you were in collapses. You scroll through news designed to make you anxious, social media designed to make you envious, and emails that remind you of tasks you have not completed. Your ancestors woke at midnight and looked at stars. You wake at midnight and look at a screen showing you what everyone else has that you do not. The waking is not the problem. The phone is the problem. But even beyond the phone, there is something deeper happening. Your ancestors did not wake up alone. They woke up surrounded by family, by the fire, by the sounds of other humans breathing. The watch was communal. You wake up alone in a dark room. The silence is total. Your partner is asleep next to you, but they might as well be on another continent. You feel isolated. And isolation amplifies every anxious thought. So your body wakes at midnight, as it has done for 200,000 years. But instead of finding the warm glow of embers and the sound of your family breathing, it finds cold silence and a glowing screen that tells you the world is on fire. No wonder you cannot fall back asleep. This is the mismatch at the center of your nighttime struggle. Your biology is doing exactly what it was designed to do in a world that no longer exists. And you are paying the price in exhaustion. So what happens if you stop fighting? What happens if, the next time you wake up at 3 a.m., you try something your ancestors would have recognized? You do not reach for your phone. You do not lie there spiraling. You get up. You light a candle or sit in dim, warm light. You read something printed on paper. You write down a thought. You sit quietly and let your mind wander without demanding it perform. The research suggests that if you do this, if you accept the waking rather than fight it, you will likely feel sleep returning within an hour. Not because you forced it, because the watch was always designed to end in second sleep. Your body knows how to do this. It has always known. You just stopped listening. It is 3:17 in the morning. Your eyes are open. The ceiling is dark, but now you know something you did not know before. This is not a failure. This is not a disorder. This is a doorway. For 200,000 years, human beings woke in the middle of the night and found not anxiety, but stillness. Not isolation, but connection. Not a problem to solve, but a moment to inhabit. The 8-hour consolidated sleep block is an industrial invention. Your fragmented sleep is an evolutionary inheritance. And the question is not how to fix it. The question is what you might find in that quiet hour if you stop treating it like an enemy. Your ancestors woke up in the dark and looked at the stars. You can do the same. Not the stars on your screen, the real ones, or just the quiet, or just the sound of your own breathing. You were never meant to sleep 8 hours straight. You were meant to sleep in 2 halves, with a waking hour in between that belonged only to you. And that hour is still there, waiting every night at 3:17 in the morning.